Abigail sat in the back of the seat of a small space starship as the 44 twins flew out to her moon base. So, what does the Supreme Leader want me here for? Do I do something? She questioned. All we all know is that it's quite a change for your position at the kids next door, one of the twins said, smirking right to his brother. Right when Abigail was going to ask another question, the ship landed, and she was shortly escorted out to the back of the door. Once Abigail entered the moon base, the treehouse made it up to Rachel's office. There she was, sitting at her desk, ready for whatever the two girls were ready to talk about in that moment. Rachel looked up at number 5 with a mixture of seriousness and gratitude plastered on her face. It was a rather strange mixture of emotions. Ah, number 5, it's good that you have come such a short notice, she began speaking. It's good to see you too, Abigail replied. So what do you need me for? Rachel chuckled a bit in response to this question. Oh, where to begin? She thought for a moment, for a few seconds. Well, number 5, I cannot do this job anymore. I just can't do it. There's so much that has recently happened in my life, and I'm not just talking about the whole Earth being destroyed by aliens. No, that's not what isn't breaking me. Nigel's leaving forever. That was the final straw for me, mostly because I didn't get to see him one last time. Rachel began fighting back tears at this point, as she took off that samurai hat and looked at it. It was time. Are you... Abby's heart pounded a bit faster when Rachel took her hat off, and half of her knew what this meant. She had no choice of the rest, of no idea what was in store for her next. It was only a matter of time before this kid stepped down. She sighed and then rubbing her operative number on the orange plate right in front of her hat. Sir, what are you doing? Abigail questioned, now slightly frantic. She watched as Rachel took out a black pen and wrote down number 5 that on the hat. Rachel exhaled once again and presented to Abigail. Smiling a little, Abigail was just about the verge of nervous tears, reached out for one of her trembling hands, and took the hat. She looked at it for a good few seconds, before a tear escaped her eye. Then, with all the strength of that moment, she looked up at Rachel and spoke. You're making me Supreme Leader? She choked out, shedding even more tears than her former leader. Gently placed a hand on her shoulder. Don't be scared, number 5. You've been one of the best operatives I've ever had in the many years of this position, if not the best. I know you won't let anyone down, you hear me? Abigail slowly and tearfully nodded. A tear slipped out of Rachel's own eye as she and Abigail embraced each other, quietly weeping. I'll be the best Supreme Leader there ever was, sir. I'll never let you down, Abigail cried up into Rachel's shoulder. The hug then broke away, and the two wiping tears as they smiled at each other. Good luck out there, number 5. Make our generations proud. Teens next door rule, Maurice whispered once again, opening the hideout door, sliding down the chute, and being greeted with nervous looks on 3 of his teammates' faces. He sat down inside. Did you all get them? Annie asked. It was fairly clear shot. The rocket must have deflected on the ship somehow. Let's just say it costed one of my friend's legs in the process, Maurice explained as the others gasped. Bloody hell! We're so sorry to hear this, Maurice, Marie frowned. It's all good. I also snuck this. He held up a flyer that he was passed out a while back. Help us stop the Galactic kids next door before they destroy us all. It's very important, Taiko said. You all know what this means? My suspicions were true. This warning originated from the moon base, so it has to be legit. Maurice thought for a second. We have to figure this out, and fast. Veal, like you said, Monsees, they have the advantages over Earthlings. Physically, intelligently, they are possibly capable of blowing up the entire universe if Z wanted to. They are considering beyond advanced technology, Teko added. I heard there's about over 6 trillion billion operatives up in space, Marie said. Time to switch to plan B when the time comes. If else fails, fight them to the death. We will not stop or rest until every single one of those aliens surrender for good, and the two captives are back with us, whatever it takes, even if it means sacrificing our own lives to save this world. A couple of hours of sulking and gaming passed before Nigel was called out to the main lobby by number 74.239, who was holding out a large red bag of some sort that said "Stop Ship Fuel" written on it. "Here, take this. Get out there and find as much space rubble as you can to fit this into the sack," he ordered Nigel as he took the sack. As Nigel was on his way, 74.239 stopped him. "Oh, but first, put on this equipment." Nigel quickly took it and put it on. It was a space helmet attached to a tube of some sort of oxygen tank. The hatch door opened up before him, and he floated out into the depths of space. Once out in the open, Nigel looked around for any signs of space debris or rubble. He saw some rock-like objects ahead of him, so he went in that direction. As soon as he went far enough, he was at the whole bunch of rubble around him. Nigel floated around, humming to himself while collecting chunks of stone and dirt of all sizes, and then put them into his sack. The bag was almost completely full when a rather large droplet or purple liquid splashed onto Nigel's helmet, catching the boy's attention. Once more he surveyed the scene and saw more colorful droplets floating around past him. Swimming in the direction of the liquid drops, Nigel could vaguely see a bright blue glow up ahead, accompanied by the sound of strange weeping. It sounded like a crying cat. "Hello, please don't be sad," Nigel softly said, getting closer to the figure before him. It turned out to be a huge feline creature that had periwinkle fur with purple stripes, and it possessed into two long furry tails. The huge cat cried. Pink and purple blue raindrops secreted from its eyes and floated its way from its face. "Hey, what's the matter?" Nigel gently cooed the creature as it sniffed, and then turned to face the small human child, her beautiful teary emerald green eyes gazing down at him. He could also see that he was clutching something in her paws. "Uh-oh, what do we have here?" Nigel said slowly, covering up a little bit closer to get a better look at what he was holding, only for the cat to quickly move out of its way of anxiety. She trembled as she continued his attempts to calm her down. "Shh, I'm not going to hurt you. Why don't you come back with me to the mothership? It's quite safe in here from what I've seen." Nigel smiled a bit, holding out his hand. The giant kitty clutched his hand with a soft, gentle paw. Taking the tied-up sack of rubble, he took her back home, at least what he thought. "Ah, I see you found our newest operatives, number 9L. She became a rescue cat after the adults came and chased her away from home. So we brought her up upon ourselves to take her as our own," explained Number Infinity, which to Nigel's eyebrows sadly frowned a bit. "Oh my God," he said. He looked up at number 9L with the expression of empathy, while number 9L looked a tad confused. "I know they could be so cruel, such innocent beings," number 74.239 sadly sighed. "Well, there is a bag of space rubble you asked for." Nigel handed the red sack to them. "Thank you. Now how about you two head to your rooms, Nigel? Number 9L's room is right next to yours, so if you want to visit her for any reason, to have lunch or whatever, you have our permission." However, stating this, Number Infinity gave number 9L a firm look, as to give off a warning about something. After the conversation, Nigel found himself walking with 9L to her room. As they made their way to their doors open, but before heading to bed, number 9L purred and gave Nigel a loving smile to the face, causing him to blush a little. "Hey, you're welcome," he sheepishly chuckled, as the space cat cutely poked a tongue out through its closed mouth. Yes, the Fanes were perfectly with all this new experience. Seemingly so. Abigail's first full day was, since it was taking place as Supreme Leader, admittedly it wasn't too stressful, although it could very likely escalate if there was an attack. But she felt determined of what she would do well up there, At that moment, Abigail remembered that Hoagie, Coogie, and Wally were still down on Earth. Oh boy, she said to herself. They probably are wondering where the hell I went. Just then, the Earth operatives heard her calling for her, so they spotted her at the new office and were instantly overwhelmed with joy to their friend. Miss me? Abigail teasingly asked as the other three rushed to her. Wow, number 5. I never knew you'd become a supreme leader. I'm so proud of you, Hoagie praised, blushing slightly. Her, supreme leader? A familiar voice echoed through the shadows. The 4 Sector 5 operative sighed. It was none other than Rachel's spoiled, rotten younger brother, Harvey. He stormed into the room as Abigail got up from her chair and whispered to her teammates. I'll handle this. I cannot believe what I just heard, Harvey shouted. Now, number 363, your sister isn't in charge anymore. I am. So you better start behaving, or you will not enjoy what I am going to do to this spoiled, rotten, toed your shoes to keep any longer. Trust me, I'm not going to be nice to you like your sister. Why didn't she make me the supreme leader of the kids next door? I'm her brother, for God's sakes. I should be in charge, not some woman who looks like she came out of an alleyway. Harvey continued screeching his lungs out as Abigail grew more and more pissed off. Harvey, this is your last warning, fool, she growled at him through the clenched teeth. I'm not afraid of you. Why should I be scared of you, dork? That does it, 86, Abigail aggressively called. Franny then rushed in on command. Take this hooligan away, Abigail snarled, pointed at Harvey as more of the kids gathered around outside to watch the situation from down below. Franny grabbed Harvey by the arm, which, due to his arachnophobia, caused him to automatically freak the hell out. Stop touching me! Let me go! You woman, or you tramp, or else! Franny simply didn't give in, and dragged him all the way down to the decommissioning chamber, where several other kids were, including Hoagie, Coogie, Wally, and especially Abigail, all following behind, some giggling excitedly while others whispering snooty comments to one another about what was going down soon. Soon enough, the moon base operatives then joined in on watching Harvey's decommissioning happily too, as they all had enough of this listening to constant tantrum throwing for years. Finally, Harvey then entered the chamber, and Franny pulled out the lever as everyone cheered it on. And number 363 is no more, Abigail said to herself with great satisfaction. This was a great accomplishment to her, as she felt proud, especially on her first day. The next sunrise came as Carla groggily yawned and then turned onto her side. She had barely gotten enough sleep last night after that spooky little event that occurred last night. Spotting her phone next to the pillow, she turned it on and then went to her messages app. She then went to Cree's chat and started typing on the keyboard. Lincoln? It took a couple minutes for Cree to read the text and then respond. Morning, baby girl. Slept well last night? To be honest, I didn't get much shut-eye last night. Something came by my windows, started making sounds creepier than a timber wolf howl. What? How did that happen? Isn't your room on the 2nd floor? Those aliens must be coming for us already, little by little. Aliens? You mean those brats from space? Carla, we're teenagers, and we're far too old to believe in stuff like aliens and crap. You're possibly just hearing things again. I gotta trust my gut, Lincoln. Those flyers, the sounds of my window pane, and another thing that's happened last night, I overheard my own siblings talking about wrestling aliens, and there's so many thoughts racing through my noggin faster than a wild stallion in a steaming pursuit, and with a mountain lion. Whatever floats your boat, Carla. I'm still not paying any attention to those little goblins whatsoever. Carla then sighed in frustration, due to Cree refusing to believe her. Anyway, I am sorry that you got no sleep last night, regardless of what caused it. It's alright, no need to apologize. I hear my parents for breakfast. Talk to you later. See you around. As Sector 5 then got back into the pleasing watch party decommissioning chamber, Abigail called Hoagie into her office for a quote-unquote opportunity that he hopefully won't pass on. So what's this opportunity you speak of? Hoagie asked, as Abigail took out a pair of shades and presented to him. Hoagie, Penny, Whistle, Gilligan, As for my second big decision as the new supreme leader of yours, and because of your absolute long-term dedication to the team, I now dub you as leader of Sector 5. Hoagie then took off his sunglasses and looked at them. For a moment he was unsure of what to say about this, if not a bit nervous. However, his love for Abigail and desire to make her feel happy and proud overtook him, and he looked up, blushing. He smiled like the doofus he was. Yes, sir. He then tilted a bit as Abigail warmly smiled back. Ah, now how satisfying you finally get to see Harvey his upper comeuppance, hey? Hoagie, who was now without his hat or wearing Nigel's shades and a pair of fingerless gloves, chuckled as the two teammates while you were heading back to the treehouse for breakfast. You said it, Coogie giggled. You wouldn't believe how angry I was when he messed up our scavenger hunt a while back. She scowled as she folded her arms. And now with number 2 as the boss of the treehouse and number 5 as the supreme leader, I don't think much could go wrong, Wally smirked with much confidence. Then they got inside. Something buzzed in Wally's pocket, and it was time for another conference with Number Vine. After he made sure that Hoagie wasn't watching them, Coogie opened up the laptop, and Number Vine's symbol shortly appeared on the screen. Greetings, Number 3 and Number 4. I have some serious news for you two, she said, at the earliest tone. The Galactic kids next door have recently been sending us small portions after small portion onto planet Earth, mostly for spying and tracking. Also prepare for the first wave. First wave? Wally and Coogie looked at each other. You heard me. First wave, she said, incommunicating the last couple of words. The first engagement between you guys and my teammates, and they won't mess around, and trust me, they'll be out looking for your demise soon enough, for they will not be able to what they call themselves. At least most of them aren't. Number Vine warned with a serious glare. We know you're friendly, right? Wally darted his eyes from his left to right. Of course, why would I be reaching you out to stop, silly? She then giggled a bit, but then cleared her throat, shortly regained her serious composure. Nevertheless, whenever they do strike, don't cower, don't cry, just don't worry. Just be the best Earth operatives that you could truly fight with all your blood, sweat, and tears. I'll be there rooting for you all. Wally nodded as a few tears, feeling moved by Number Vine's motivational advice. Now from this meeting concludes, I want you to tell your current leader that they're on to us and prepare for the worst that could happen. This is Number Vine, signing off.